Hi everyone, my name is V and I'm the Celestial Bruja. Today I have a new Timeless Pick a Card video for you, and I'm going to be using 3 decks. The theme for this video is a message from your higher self. So the first deck that we're going to be using is the archetype cards. So I'm going to pull 2 of these to start off with. The first card is going to represent an energy that you're currently sitting in, or the archetype that you're currently sitting in, and it could be the light or shadow. That's going to be up to you to decide. The second card from this deck that I pull is going to be the one that you should step into during the next moon cycle, or for like a bout of moon cycle. And in that case, you'll want to focus on the light aspect of it, because, I don't want to suggest that you step into a shadow side of a certain archetype. For our tarot deck, I'm going to be using one of my favorites, the Line Strider Tarot deck. This one I feel like covers messages of like a whole variety. So it's not really a deck that I go to just for career or just for spiritual advice or just for personal love life advice. It covers everything. So that's why I felt like it was a good one for this. At the closing of the video, we're going to end with Oracle guidance from the Moonology Oracle deck. I don't know why I always end up flipping these upside down, even though I have them set up to just lift. But as always, I feel like these cards just give really good guidance. I'll kind of elaborate on my version, not just the keywords on the cards. So, as always, if you enjoy the video, feel free to like it, leave a comment, let me know what parts resonated. Remember that this is a general reading, so not every bit might apply to you, but feel free to take what does apply and use it how you see fit. You can also turn on notifications. I have links in the description if you want to check out my website, my Instagram for more awesome free content, or if you want to book a reading with me. I do have also some classes coming up that I'm very excited about. And all of those are offered on sliding scale. I want to make sure that a lot of my content is accessible for people from different economic backgrounds, as well as different, class and all that jazz. So let's go ahead and dive into the reading then. The 3 piles that we have for you to choose from today. I wanted to actually work with only amethyst today. So if you're picking the first pile, you are selecting the amethyst point. I like the green that's woven in there. The second pile is an amethyst cluster. And the third pile is the amethyst sphere. So if you need to, feel free to pause the video right now, take a few deep breaths, really connect to yourself. This is a reading that's meant to be a message from your higher self. So it's okay to take your time and kind of sit with it and feel out which pile is going to deliver the message that you most need to hear when you find this video. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and click the timestamp for your pile. So pile number 1, here is your reading. If you selected this pile, then you picked the amethyst point. So let's go ahead and look at the cards. We're going to be looking at the archetype cards first. The first card is going to be the energy that you're kind of situated in right now, and the second card is going to be a suggested energy to step into. So the energy that you're sitting in right now is the hedonist energy. In the light, this inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life and celebrates the beauty in yourself. This is a card about enjoying life, about really letting yourself have all the sensual pleasures that you want. Now, message from your higher self, the energy that you should be embodying whenever you find this card for the next month or so, I would say, is the bully card. In the light, I know this is the bully card seems like it's only negative, but in the light, this highlights your tendency to intimidate others and helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. So I would say this is all about stepping up and stepping into that warrior energy, being willing to confront others, being willing to confront as necessary, to fight the battles that you need to fight. Now let's look at the tarot cards. And the first one we have is the Hermit in reverse. This is going to give us a more in-depth kind of guidance. Then we have Knight of Wands in reverse. Justice in reverse. So we got 3 reverse cards right away. Nine of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and the last card that we have is the Moonology card, and we'll talk about this at the end. This is going to be kind of just a general message of guidance, and it's the full moon in Virgo, and the keywords are "you are good enough." So let's begin with the tarot portion. I already explained a little bit about these two cards. Remember, the Hedonist is the energy that you're kind of sitting in right now, and the Bully card is the kind of energy that you should embody, both in the light aspect. Although it is good to also discuss the shadow aspects. So, like the Hedonist in the shadow might be pursuing pleasure in a way that like is harmful, like seeking too much pleasure and not settling into like the reality of life, taking responsibility. So one or both of those may be what you identify with right now. So keep that in mind. Now you are being suggested, or your higher self is suggesting that you should step into the energy of the bully in the light, which is having more of a willingness to kind of like, as I was saying, fight for the things that you believe in. And let's take a look at how the tarot cards interact with both of those and build on that message. The first card we have is the Hermit in reverse. And I'm also going to show you the Knight of Wands in reverse again, because I think both of these sort of tie together. The Hermit in reverse is telling me that for y'all, for whoever picked this pile, your higher self, your greatest potential wants you to actually take more time in solitude. You've been sort of like trying to distract yourself, trying to find ways to distract your mind, to not allow yourself to sit and find the lantern that's like within you. Um, there's so many like really pretty colors here, but the fact that the card is in reverse does tell me that there's like so many like vivid distractions for you. It might be that the distractions are helpful, but you might be relying on them too much and not allowing yourself to go in and listen to your inner guidance. The Knight of Wands in reverse indicates like some sort of blockages, obstacles, and like not really being willing to face those or to push through them. Given that we have the bully as the suggested energy, I definitely feel like the Knight of Wands here is telling you that like some of the obstacles that you're facing are ones that you need to push through, that you need to see if you can like maneuver around or work with in a different way. If the obstacles are in relation to your spirituality, to gifts that you're developing, like I feel like that might be the case for some of you who are listening to this right now, or viewing it. Um, you do want to push yourself for growth, like try to work on these gifts that you feel are kind of coming to light, but don't push yourself to the point of harming yourself. If you want to flip the knight and make it upright as opposed to keeping it in reverse, you want to have a balance there. The Knight of Wands does move with precision, but moves forward with confidence and inner strength and knowing of like their power. So right now, given that you're in the energy of like Knight of Wands reverse, that's something to consider. How often are you willing to push through blocks? Are you pushing through the right blocks? Or are you like allowing those obstacles to stand in your way from what you want? Yeah, that's something to think about. And maybe we'll come back to that in the journaling prompt. The third card here is Justice in reverse. And I don't think this is a card generally that's speaking about like advice necessarily from your higher self. I think it's more confirmation. This card definitely speaks of like unfairness, of feeling like things are out of balance, power dynamics are out of balance, responsibility is out of balance. And I think what your higher self is saying is that like they see and they recognize that this is a situation that you're in right now, and it's not always going to be something that you can fix or adjust. But by taking on this like semi-confrontational, assertive energy,
you might be able to create more balance. But your higher self definitely recognizes and sees that the situation you're in is difficult. Now, with the Nine of Cups, I think what you need to keep in mind is that there are some things in your life to be grateful for. You have had some successes. Here, I always think this card's kind of funny because it's this cat and you can see the feathers in their mouth, and they've obviously just caught this bird, taken it from the cage. And so the cat has achieved something and gotten something that it's wanted, and kind of like at the hands of the bird, or the bird suffered in the process. So like the Nine of Cups speaks a lot to achieving things, but somehow still feeling like things are missing. So there are things in your life to be grateful for, and things that you can look to and build on, and that also, I think your higher self wants you to know also that good things are coming for you. It it might feel like you've only had these like minor successes or these minor good things happen, and you're waiting for like that big moment, that big ultimate sigh of like relief of like, yes, I've gotten to this point that I need to get to, and I can slow down now. And I think this card is saying that because it is the nine out of like the 10 in the cups, it is saying that like more is coming. You're almost there. Like, just hang on, enjoy the things you have, practice gratitude for the things you have and the small successes and, gifts that you get. Uh, but do know that you're working towards something bigger and better. And this is where the Ace of Pentacles fits in. And it's really interesting that this card came at the end of the reading, because I think what your higher self is trying to say is that this might be a good time to focus your attention on creating new, lasting things. If if you've been in the energy of the hedonist and really enjoying everything that's already been created around you, enjoying sensual pleasures, it might be time to shift and use some of your assertive energy to start creating things that are lasting for yourself. Um, and this might be different things to different people. Um, some of you might be working on like creating a legacy or a tradition in your family, something that you can keep passing down. For others, those of you who maybe don't have close, blood family, but you have chosen family, your legacy might be the small acts of kindness that you do every day, the ways in which you are a good friend, or it might even be, like you're a good sibling, or yeah, the journaling that you do, the art that you create, all of these things, I think your higher self wants you to start putting more and more energy into those parts of your life, into creating something that will last, whether or not other people witness it now. The point is that you're making it, and it's going to be there in the long run, and it's something you can look back on later in your life. Finally, we have the sort of message, the guidance message from the Moonology Oracle, and this was the full moon in Virgo, with the words "You are good enough." Um, and I think what this card is saying, and something that your higher self wants you to know, is not simply that you are good enough, but that you have as much of a right to be here and to claim the things that you want in life as anyone else. This is also a card that speaks about, again, gratitude, being grateful for the things that you have, and trying not to worry too much about the things that are missing, which was kind of indicated with the Nine of Cups as well. I think this group can definitely benefit from a gratitude practice, something that, like, even if it only takes a few minutes of your day, creating that energy of gratitude, and sitting in that and allowing yourself to sit in that energy for a short while, helps not only bring in more of that, more of like the feeling of gratitude, things that give you gratitude, um, but it helps to diminish the focus and the energy that you give towards the things that are worrying you. um, it allows you to slowly shift your perspective. um, I do want to say, in terms of like gratitude practice, I don't believe that a gratitude practice will solve all your problems. And I know that there are issues of like classism, issues of racism, societal structures that are like standing in our way of like achieving things sometimes. But we can work through some of those things, and we can also embody a sense of gratitude for the smaller parts of our life. And if we're constantly focused on what we don't have, we can't complete some of the cycles that we're here and meant to complete. We can't restore a sense of fairness. We can't assert ourselves in the way that we want to. So now we're going to discuss a journaling prompt. I do want to give you a gratitude focused prompt, but I'm going to make it a little bit interesting, and hopefully you'll be open to following through with it. So for this creative or journaling prompt, I want you to take 2 empty jars or 2 empty glasses, some kind of like container or vessel, and I want you to begin making 2 separate lists. The first list is a gratitude list. I want you to write down even the smallest things that you're grateful for. Like for me, every morning that I wake up and I get to have that morning cup of coffee, that's like one of my biggest moments of gratitude, is like the taste of the coffee, the way that it kind of like starts to energize me. So begin writing that. As you write one item, once you're done, tear it from like your notebook, or tear a piece of paper. Um, you can use old scraps, old napkins, whatever. Write down things that you're grateful for on separate scraps of paper, bundle them up, and put them in one cup. And keep doing that. And hopefully you're able to fill the cup with that. This second list that I want you to do is a list of the things that you would like to attract in your life. I want you to speak from a place of, like, don't use the negative in the speech. Like, don't say things like, I don't make enough money. Say, I want more stability. Try to frame it as positive as you can, since this is a little bit of manifestation, but also a little bit about shifting perspective. So, yeah, with each of those items, tear them off and put them in the second vessel, the second cup or jar or whatever. Yeah, and try to see, my goal and my belief is that it is more likely that the first cup will be more full than the second cup. And keep those in a space where you can see them every day, whether it's like your altar or just like a nightstand or something like that. Maybe like once a week, go through again the things that you want to attract in life. And sometimes those things are going to shift and they're going to go into the gratitude vessel, or you're going to find that you don't want those things anymore, that you're like happy with wherever you're at. Like for some of you, it might be that you want to attract a relationship. And then in a few months, you work on yourself and you decide that maybe you're not in a place where you want to date anyone. So maybe that comes out of the cup. Either way, I think it's good to go back and to look at that second cup periodically, just to see how your wants are shifting and to see if you have manifested anything that you wanted. This isn't a manifestation focused exercise. It's about shifting perspective and about gratitude. But my hopes is that it will give you a little bit of a manifestation boost. So that concludes your reading. I hope it was insightful. I hope you felt connected to the message that your higher self wanted you to hear. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it and leave a comment letting me know which parts resonated for you. You can also subscribe and sign up for notifications so that you can know whenever I post new videos. I will be posting new videos each week. And yeah, I have a website and all my social media linked in the descriptions. If you sign up for my newsletter, one person from my newsletter gets a reading from me for free each month. So that's a good reason to sign up. And I also send out other awesome goodies like ebooks of tarot spreads and things like that. But yeah, definitely check it out. I also provide virtual and PDF readings and some basic astrology services. So I hope this message gave you some clarity. I hope you're able to work with it, and I wish you all the best. Hello, pile number 2. This is your reading from your higher self today. If you picked this pile, you chose the Amethyst cluster. So let's look at the cards. We're going to look at the archetype cards first, and the first one that I show you is going to be the energy that you're kind of sitting in right now, whether light or shadow. It might be that you relate to both parts of it. And then the second card is going to serve as a suggested energy to step into for like the next month or so. So for the energy that you're sitting in right now, we have the Angel card. In the light, this is a card of helping those in need with no expectation of return. In the shadow, this is a card of acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. The energy that you're being suggested to embody is the victim energy. And I know there's a lot of connotations with the word victim, but in the light, this card and this energy is all about preventing you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. So it's a card of helping others, a card of also helping yourself and boundaries. So let's look at the tarot cards, and then I will also come back and talk about these a little bit more. First, we have the Page of Swords, then the Six of Cups, the Nine of Wands in reverse, the Seven of Wands, and the Eight of Pentacles. The final card that we have is going to be guidance for you at the end of the reading, and we'll discuss it then. It's the Moonology Oracle card, and it's the full moon in Taurus. Your dreams need a practical plan. So for the other piles, I kind of talked more about these two cards first, but I think that this reading, you'll kind of need to go through the tarot, and then I'm going to show you how it kind of connects and builds on what's being said there. But to begin with, we do have the Angel card, which I showed you. But this tells me that some of you are in a place of like currently receiving like divine guidance. The people who picked this pile, maybe like spiritual folks, maybe other like healers or practitioners. And you're definitely sitting in this like energy of being willing and open to receiving like angelic guidance, divine guidance, guidance from ascended masters. But do be careful of, I get mostly that the people who pick this pile are in the light, but for those of you who might connect with the shadow attributes, do be careful of this. Sometimes, yeah, when we are people who share messages and, share guidance that we receive from the spirit realm or the divine realm or whatever, like we do have to remember that people might not always be ready to hear a message. People might not want to hear it. Consent is really important in this practice. So if you receive messages about people, if you're walking down the street and you feel like you get insight about somebody, or even insight about your friends, family, loved ones, don't automatically give them those messages. It's not really up to you. It's up to them whether they want to hear it. You can always ask, but they're not always going to agree to it. So do be careful that you don't fall into the shadow aspect where you're just delivering messages and it might be, not something that they needed to hear. Uh, Everyone has their own spirit court, their own team, their own guides, and their own plans. So even though you might be receiving messages about others, that doesn't mean that you necessarily need to share it. Um, I'm not getting that like too many of you are doing that, but I felt the need to say it anyways, as like a word of caution. So let's look at the Page of Swords, and this was also kind of why I wanted to mention that the Page of Swords is a card of messages, of receiving messages, and so that feels connected to the Angel card. But more than that, it's also a card about like seeing the world in a new way, having new ideas, having a new outlook. I think your higher self wants you to know that this is a time of shifting perspective, of shifting your own spiritual views, your own path. It might be small shifts, it might be big shifts, but you'll be getting the guidance to shift via like messages, like either from the angelic realm or the spirit realm. Now the Page of Swords, the page is like a novice in a lot of ways. It's a new energy. So keep in mind that you do have to be cautious about messages that you're receiving. Make sure that you you open yourself up, but then you also close yourself off to the messages. You don't want to be open 24/7. Um, and you do want to set a sort of like protective barrier around you as you move through your day and as you open yourself up to messages. Uh, the second card here is the Six of Cups. This card, I feel, is a little bit connected to the Victim card, which is the energy that you should step into. The Six of Cups is telling me, even though I gave this like sort of warning about when you're sharing messages and what messages to share, I think your higher self, for some of you, might be suggesting that it is time to share your gifts if you're not already sharing them. So, what this means, this doesn't mean automatically give messages to people just because you hear them or see them or feel them or whatever. This means, like, for those of you who aren't already sharing your gifts, it might be time to tell family if they are people who are open to it and that you feel safe with. Um, or it might be time for you to open yourself up to sharing messages for the people who are close to you who want to hear them. Maybe some of you have been reading tarot for yourself for a while and it's time to like step out and start sharing that with other people. Or it might be that like I also feel like some of you might be like breath work facilitators, meditation kind of teachers guides. I don't know what the word is for people who give meditations, but like some of you might be in that sort of healing realm or like naturally skilled in that area. So it might be time for you to focus on that and to start thinking about the ways that you can share it. um, for those of you who like are really spiritual and have these sort of gifts that you do want to share, and you have a full-time job or a career that's completely different than that, I think that you can still have both. I think that what I'm getting here as a message is that it's time to share these things sort of from like a place of giving and a place of kindness and caring. So if you have stable finances, maybe you can dedicate like a certain time of the month, or like yeah, a once a week type thing where you lead a free guided meditation for people. I think a lot of healing is needed right now in especially in like BIPOC and queer communities. So if you have gifts that you want to share and you are in a place of financial security and you don't need to worry too much about like receiving money from that, then definitely offer those gifts as a service, as a way to give back, as a way to stay in the light energy of the angel card. Um, and I think, yeah, what I was saying about the victim card, I think, is that there are a lot of people who feel victimized right now, and the Six of Cups, like giving your healing services, might be a way to help people who feel victimized and to help empower them and give them back a sense of ease. Now, let's move into the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands. This card was a little tricky for me to connect to at first, but I think I have an idea of the message that your higher self is saying with this card. The Nine of Wands in reverse often speaks of like unfounded fears, about excessive worries, about sort of like creating your own demons and um, yeah, creating your own fears. So I think what this card is saying is that as you begin to share your gift, as you step into the role of sort of like being a healer or a practitioner, even if it's only voluntarily, um, avoid spreading any kind of like fear-based messages. It's important for people to be aware, and this might apply to like across the board, like not even just as a healer, but just in your own day-to-day, like how you act on social media and how you act with people um, as you move through the day. Um, be wary of how much fear you're spreading. It is important to spread like truthful knowledge and to keep people aware about things, but we do need to be really cautious and aware of who our audience is as well. I know that I once had a discussion with someone who, like on Instagram, who was getting upset that people weren't posting more about recent violence that was happening against against Black folks specifically. And one of the things that we sort of discussed was the ways in which we need to raise awareness, because yeah, when we're constantly reposting things that are traumatizing moments, people who are directly being affected by that are going to be re-traumatized every time we see it. Um, I do think that white people in particular need to see things that are uncomfortable and know about it, but there are just certain things that I'm not going to spread on social media because I know my audience and I don't need my people to or the people that I'm a community, a part of the community. Um, I don't need them to be hurt by re-seeing these things. What they need probably is resources and stuff. So be aware of the messages that you're sharing and how you're sharing them. If you have people that you know need to see certain things, just send it to them directly instead of affecting everyone across the board who sees it. Um, and consider the ways in which you're educating. Make sure that you're not doing it from a place of trying to create fear or trying to or a place of feeling like you have no power. If the information that you're spreading makes you feel powerless and hopeless, do you want others to feel that way? Probably not, right? So be aware of the the type of information that you're sharing and how you're sharing it and where and when you're sharing it. The final two cards, I feel are connected and kind of a pair, and they build and develop something in the victim card. The Seven of Wands tells me that some of you are facing sort of competition, or I'm getting the sense that some of you have a lot of mal de ojo coming your way. It might be that people don't want you to have the successes that you have. It might be that people are just really jealous of something that you have. If you are someone with financial security, there are a lot of people who don't have financial security right now. So yeah, that sort of the desire for those things might be sending heavy and dense energy your way. Um, and it is understandable. There's a lot of people suffering right now. So do be grateful if you have good things in your life. But be weary of dense energy that's coming your way. It might be good for you to do an egg limpia, or um, doing more cleansing if you're someone who doesn't have really strong spiritual boundaries and protective boundaries. I think it's really easy to gloss over protective magic. So think of the ways in which you create boundaries and how you're protecting yourself from any dense energy that comes your way. But the Eight of Pentacles is suggesting that, or yeah, your higher self wants you to keep developing the things that you've been putting your energy into. For some of you, it might be just really close relationships and friendships. Keep putting your energy into that. If it's in your career, in something that you're working and you're building up, you're close to achieving a bigger sense of success and completion, um, and a feeling of deep gratitude. So this is something that you need to kind of continue building and continue working towards. Um, yeah, and if you are also developing healing abilities, keep at it, because you are at a point where you are able to kind of share these abilities and share these services with others, but that doesn't mean that you need to stop there. We should consistently be students of life, even when we're teachers, if that makes sense. The Seven of Wands also is connected to the victim card, because as you feel heavy energy coming your way, or if people begin to sort of create conflict with you, which might be something that'll be happening for some of you, especially for those of you who are watching this right when I post it, because of Mars retrograde and things like that. So avoid falling into the shadow aspect of the victim. The shadow aspect here also says there's an inability to maintain personal boundaries. So do keep your personal boundaries, and do keep your protective boundaries, your energetic boundaries in place, as you continue to work towards what you want. Finally, we are going to close with the Moonology Oracle card. Your dreams need a practical plan. This is the full moon in Taurus. Um, I think this card isn't just speaking about like what's written on the card. I think it's also talking about the energy of Taurus as a whole. Like, yeah, Taurus is a sign that is known for being able to like enjoy sensual pleasures, enjoy the luxuries in life, even when things are like harsh and heavy around them. Now, in the shadow, Taurus is also, it is a fixed sign, so it does have a strong tendency of like not wanting to change, not wanting to shift perspectives, not wanting to see things a new way. So what I think this card is telling you is that like this is a time where you need to shift your point of view. You need to start thinking new ways, and considering like what you can do to help others change, change out of like the negative, the shadow aspect of the victim, how you could continue to embody the angel light aspect. Um, and yeah, for some of you, if you are considering like starting to offer your healing services, you might need a practical plan and you might need to make a list of like small goals to work through, especially if you feel like you're carrying some sort of like Taurus energy where it's just hard to get moving and get things rolling. But yeah, let's talk about a journaling prompt for this group. I think the best thing y'all can do right now is to really sit and meditate on the Six of Cups energy. Um, Maybe journal about the things that you would be willing to do to help your community. I've seen a lot of like infographics and a lot of people also talking about how protesting and being on the street is extremely important. But for those who can't do it, there are various things that you can do right now. And even looking further than when this video is posted, there are always ways that you can give back to your community. So I think it might be a good idea for you guys to either make a list or for you to journal about things that you're willing to do to offer to your community. For those of you who like balance too many things and don't have a lot of time, but you're willing to give financially, yeah, that might be your thing. You might be needing to give a set amount of money to like grassroots organizations. Others might be doing healing services and providing them for free or providing them for a donation. Um, Maybe you're willing to do like bigger events periodically where you hold an auction and if you're like an artist, you auction off a set number of pieces or something and donate those proceeds. Whatever the case, I think it's a good time to sit and consider what you can do to give back to your community. That concludes your reading, pile number 2. Um, yeah, I hope the message that you received from your higher self was helpful. I hope the parts that you needed to hear resonated and came through. Um, if you liked it, feel free to like the video, leave a comment, let me know what kind of hit deep for you. You can also subscribe and turn on notifications. In the descriptions, I have all of my social media and my website where I offer virtual and PDF services like card readings and basic astrology services. I also have ritual guides, things like that. If you subscribe to my newsletter, one person each month gets a free reading with me, so that's a good reason to sign up. And I do send out free goodies and things like that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope it gave you some guidance. Welcome to your reading, pile number 3. If you selected this pile, you picked the Amethyst Sphere, which is actually one of my favorite crystals and one that I've probably had the longest. So let's take a look at your cards. So the first 2 cards will be the archetype cards. The first one that we see is going to be the energy that you're sort of sitting in right now. The second card is going to be a suggested energy to embody for like the next month or so. So the energy that you're sitting in right now is the beggar energy, and all of these archetypes have both light and shadow attributes. So you might be connecting with either the light or the shadow or a little bit of both. In the light, the beggar confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. In the shadow, this is a archetype of being dependent on others to the exclusion of effort. The energy that is being suggested to you embody in the next month or so, whenever you find this video, is that of the trickster. In the light, the trickster transcends conventions, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. In the shadow, this is a card that speaks of manipulating others through duplicity, of kind of fooling others, giving off a facade, tricking people into doing the things that you want. Let's look at the tarot cards. The first one is Judgment in reverse. And we have the Magician in reverse. Just kind of funny because I consider the Magician a trickster of sorts. King of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles in reverse. And Seven of Swords. The final card is the Moonology Oracle card, and this will be guidance at the end, and I'll talk about it then. But it is the new moon in Capricorn with the words, "Your hard work is paying off." All right. Okay. So I will explain these briefly, but I will also talk about them as we move through the tarot cards because they'll kind of develop the meaning a little bit more. So the energy that you're sitting in for the beggar, if you're sitting in the light energy, it might be that that you're willing to ask people to help you. Like maybe you're somebody who is willing to accept help, and you finally like broken past a barrier of being afraid to ask for help. It could be also that you ask others to help those around you. You create a sense of humility. You remind people of the things that they should be grateful for and how they should be contributing to society as a whole. Um, yeah, awaken the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. Um, you're willing to embody a sense of humility to develop your life, your spiritual path, but to also help others. If you're in the shadow aspect of this card right now, it could be that you are depending too much on others, and it might not be just about like financial needs or security needs. Like, I think it's okay to depend on people for things like that and to ask for help when you need it. But I'm getting the sense more that this is like in relation to self-confidence, to like getting a boost from like social media, like really only feeling better like when you get affirmation from others, when you get sort of successes. Like you're not willing to, if you're in the shadow of that card, you might not be willing to see your own successes, to recognize your own growth unless someone else recognizes it for you. So you might be sitting in the light energy, the shadow aspect, or a little bit of both. Now, the energy that you're being recommended to like embody is that of the trickster. So the trickster in the light is somebody who creates new ways of thinking, who creates new pathways, who helps others see that you don't need to go a traditional path, you don't need to follow specific steps that have been like done over and over and over again. Like you can break up convention, you can break up the societal structures that we currently have and create new modes of being. So I think that your higher self wants you to consider that this is a time of thinking completely differently, of thinking more playfully of how you can manifest things and how you can create change. So yeah, I feel like there's a very clear message coming from your higher self for those of you who picked this pile. The first tarot card that we're looking at is Judgment in reverse. I think this also kind of builds on the shadow aspect of the beggar card. This card is pointing to the idea of like self-doubt and a hypercritical attitude directed at self. There are changes that you need to make. You are at a sort of crossroads with your way of thinking and your way of growing and your way of contributing to the world around you. But you're not able to shift and turn and go onto a new road because you're kind of stuck in a mode of being like too hard on yourself, and also like needing to feel as though you're doing good in the world, but your need to feel like you're doing good is only affirmed via the outside world. So yeah, and this kind of flows into the Magician card. the Magician card, when it's in reversed, speaks of a block. This can be a creative block, but also a block in making change. More than that, I think what this card is kind of saying is that, like, your energy might be flowing into the wrong things. And this is also, yeah, like the Judgment card is indicating a time of change, a new way of like the need to change, the need to shift the way that you're going. And the Magician card is saying that you're like blocking yourself from doing that. You're focusing too much in one area where you need to shift your focus to another. For some of you, I think your higher self is suggesting that you change your focus in your spiritual path. I think, like, yeah, the message that I'm getting is that, like, some of you are focused in a, like, a certain type of group or a certain type of path, and it's very strict and it has its own traditions, and that's something to be respected. But you might be putting too much energy in there, or you might not be ready to do that right now. So your higher self wants you to consider where you put your energy and where you're putting it right now, and think if that's how much energy you should be putting there. And wonder if there's somewhere else where you need to be creating magic and change. And the third card that we have is the King of Pentacles. So I think this is also kind of shifting into a future mindset. The message from your higher self is that there is like something bigger that you need to be building. And like when we pair it with the Trickster card, this could be a new type of business, a new way of growing, of thinking, of helping others, a new type of family or structure. But the only way that you're going to be able to build that is if you start shifting your attention, your direction, your energy. And this goes also with the next card. And uh, every time I record these videos, there's an ice cream truck going around. So if you hear that, I apologize. Or I guess I don't need to apologize for that, but whatever. You might hear the ice cream truck in the background. Um, so the King of Pentacles is about building something new, about achieving a material success, but also spiritual. The Pentacles are very spiritual, even though they're grounded and deal with the material realm. Like, I often consider the Pentacles spiritual in the sense of like ancestral knowledge, and like earth magic and like paganism and animist way of thinking, things like that. But moving into the Three of Pentacles in reverse, I think this group needs to step back into mode of like student and apprentice. I think there are some things that you're like drawn to exploring and drawn to developing, but it might be that you feel like you can do it all on your own, or like you know enough. And yeah, like maybe your practice has been growing and developing in a very specific way, and with the Three of Pentacles in reverse and the Trickster card might be telling you is that this is a good time to shift and to start learning and growing a different way. So if you're mainly learning from like one practitioner or one spiritual path, it might be time to start learning from other teachers or taking classes from others or getting new types of readings to see if it gives you a different kind of insight. The final tarot card is the Seven of Swords, and I think that this is more like a cautionary card. The Seven of Swords often talks about like trying to get away with things. Sometimes it's a suggestion to be a little bit sneaky in your life, but for all of y'all, since I do think some of you need to shift your focus, start learning from other teachers, start finding new ways of like growing. I think this card is more serving as a warning to also be cautious of who you trust. And I feel like this applies to even like really small things. And I don't. I wish I could remember who like originally sparked this mode of thinking, but like when we do pick a card videos, like when we take them in, when we watch them, or we participate in that kind of way as an audience, even pick a card posts on like Instagram and things like that, we are willingly interacting with the practitioner's energy. Now, I'm not saying that like you need to stop doing them altogether, but you do always need to be cautious of like who you're interacting with. Are you taking in content from people who are doing good things in the world? Are you taking in content from people who think themselves like some kind of authority? Are you only taking in content that's like fear based? But yeah, this is just a card that's saying like, do be cautious of who you're learning from, who you're studying from, who you're giving your energy to, and whose energy you're allowing into your life. Um, yeah, I think it's important, especially if you're watching this video when I first post it, to create boundaries around how we interact with others, because there are some people who might be like manipulating you. Or whose energy might not be well and healed, and yet they're like, doing spells for you. Yeah, just make sure that the people that you interact with spiritually are people that you like would invite into your home normally and like sit with and like tell your personal life to. Like you should trust your practitioners in the way you would trust like people close to you if you're letting them interact with your energy and you're interacting with their energy. Let's move into the Oracle card now as a final guidance. So the Moonology card that you got was the New Moon in Capricorn card. The phrase on it is your hard work is paying off. This is a card that often indicates like a new path, a change, which is like kind of what we were talking about with the Judgment. But this I feel like relates really closely to the King of Pentacles. It might be that some of you are like building new things in the material realm, not just spiritually, but like in your career or yeah, in your own businesses, things like that. This card is suggesting that it is a good place to put your energy. But this is also like saying again that this is a new path. This we have a new moon in Capricorn here, so um, building on the Judgment card and the Magician card, like you need to be shifting your energy and focusing on yeah, where you need to put your energy. So once you've kind of like worked through that, the new moon in Capricorn card is saying that that's going to be an area focused in like material and career and perhaps spiritual, but that's connected to the King of Pentacles. This is where you need to be putting your energy once you start shifting your way of thinking. So let's see, we need a journaling prompt for this group. Let's look at belief systems. I want y'all to explore 3 belief systems that you've carried for a long time. The Judgment card and the Magician card do speak of like new ways of thinking and like shifting completely, and I think a lot of the time that the root of why we can't change or what we're not willing to change stems from a belief system. So maybe since we are dealing with pentacles and like this idea of career and the physical realm, for some of you a belief system might be that like you might have a scarcity belief system that you have to, like I know I struggled with the concept of like needing to suffer to earn something, like whether that was I had to work a lot of hours in order to earn a livable wage. So yeah, write down 3 belief systems, and they can be revolving anything spiritual, physical, money, love, things like that, and explore the root of that. Where did you learn that belief system? Why did you develop that belief system? This is like definitely shadow work, so only do this if you're like in a spot where you can mentally process these things. But look at the root of those belief systems, and then consider whether there's a new way to approach what you're discussing. So yeah, like if we're talking about the example that I said for myself, like that the idea of suffering to earn enough, that belief system might need to be changed, or well, it obviously needs to be changed, and I'm working on it, and I feel like I've already started changing it, but that's beside the point. um, as you journal, it might be like, okay, the root of this stems from, like seeing my family work extremely hard to get us to only have just enough. And undoing that belief system might involve looking at daily ways in which I can break that belief system. Um, like looking at the evidence that's suggesting that I'm changing that. So maybe that means after you journal and you look at the root, that you begin making a list of all the ways in which you're changing. Or if you're trying to embody the energy of the trickster, um, how can I shift that mindset? How can I prove that this belief system isn't necessary? Like, how can I trick my own mind into believing in something new? So, yeah, definitely explore belief systems this month. But that concludes your reading, pile number 3, those of you who selected the sphere. Um, yeah, if this reading resonated, feel free to let me know in the comments. Tell me what part hit deep, and also like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications if you want to see more videos like this, along with other content that I'm working on. In the descriptions, I have my social media as well as my website. If you sign up for my newsletter, I send out awesome freebies. Like I just sent out a tarot spread book, and one person each month wins a free reading with me. So I feel like that's a good reason to sign up. And I also offer virtual and PDF services. But yeah, to close, I hope this reading was insightful. I hope the message that you needed to hear came through and that you were able to connect to your higher self in a deeper way through this. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all think.